My name is Ramaprasanna Chellamuthu. Yeah, I spoke like a couple of sessions before on Windows 8. Then I'm back again on stage to present this session again on Windows 8. It's not like, of course I'm super passionate about Windows 8, and more than that, I'm in Windows 8 since the day of the developer preview, and in fact even before that. So it's exciting, definitely exciting platform. So should I wait for like a few minutes until they settle? Yeah. Different types. Sorry? Okay. But actually you wouldn't miss it once you start using it. That I assure you. That the first day I saw, always, because you have been using Windows Start for decades together, so we always start feeling the start button. But actually you'll get used to it very soon. I can assure you that. What is that? Multiple hardware end to end. Okay. App Store, okay, semantic zoom, Vinati, started speaking dev, man, great. So, because Vinati is a huge investment from our side with respect to writing a Metro app. So, yeah, Vinati. What else? What is the presentation layer for the C++ developers? Sorry? XAML. Okay. So can we write Metro style apps using JavaScript HTML? And what would it run on? Chakra and in terms Vinati. Okay. So can I create a .NET application and run it as a Metro style app? No, there is no .NET layer for a Metro style app. Okay, so every Metro style app runs on Vinati. There is no MS Core Lab, there is no .NET layer, .NET runtime when you speak about Metro style app. Okay, so with that little bit of introduction, let me start the session. So I want to let you guys know what's nice about the Metro style apps, except the fact that it gets you money when you put it on store, and when you get it from it, there are a lot of cool things in architecture wise. The first is the app execution environment. When you create the apps today, you compile it, you build it, you publish it as MSIs, okay, whatever, EXEs, MSIs and stuff. When we go forward with Metro style apps, in this part of the world, there is no MSIs and installers. Instead, there is something called Apex. It's a new executional container. Apps go onto the store, and you browse through the store, you download the package, you install it, and that sits into your Vinati, top of the Vinati, and it runs. Okay? There is no installer. This is how typically the package manager looks like, and package manager is independent entity. And this is what constitutes the Apex. Obviously, when the app code and compile things needs to go, so that's one segment. The other one is the Apex manifest. Okay? In the Apex manifest is where you suggest that these are the features that your app can access in your local system. Give me like 2 minutes, I will go into the Visual Studio and show you how Apex manifest looks like. It's just an XML file. But it's kind of key that you need to have to open that specific segment in an operating system. The block map signatures both give you integrity, and that's put in a zip that's called Apex package. So let me go ahead and show you how Apex manifest looks like. Visual Studio basically, like always, gives you a decent GUI to manipulate the XML files, but everything in the backend is the XML. This is exactly where you can configure whether your app is in the portrait or landscape mode. For example, if you are writing a game, probably you wouldn't really want people to play it in a portrait mode. You want to enforce landscape. So those kind of configuration. When you log in, when you open up an app, the first screen that comes is the splash screen, and that can be configured here. All these kind of logos and things apart from tiles, along with tiles, can be configured here. So whether your app is toast capable. The morning we discussed about toast. The mails come in like 1, 2, 3 that the live tiles have. That's called toast. You can configure it here. Lock screen notifications. That can be configured here. So this is nothing but, nothing so exciting about it. This is a very exciting piece that I want to let you guys know. This is exactly where you need to specify whether your app can be an internet client or an internet server, or whether it can access the removable storage, whether it can access the public library, image library, etc. If you write an app and if you uncheck the internet client, telling that, hey, my app is not an internet client, it doesn't access internet resources, you will get access denied whenever code try to call any internet resource. Okay, so this is a key, and you need to enable it for your program to run. Declarations. We spoke about the contact picker, file picker, share target, share source today morning. Whether can you be a share target or shared source? Whether are you the play to receiver, or are you the play to target? So those can be configured here. Oh, by the way, I know that I'm continuing from the morning session. How many were there in the morning session? Okay, so I feel that you guys will know the continuity. For others, I hope you have seen what Windows 8 is, so I hope I can talk from here. If not, catch me after this session, then I'll brief you about what I left. Okay, for the interest of majority, let me continue. And here we go, packaging. Every package has a unique name. The grid is mentioned here, and this is the 4th tab. So these are the information in the XML, and this is the key for every MetroStyle app. So you need to have OK in the respective features to go access those specific segment of the operating system. So that's about the app execution. What's so majorly different from Windows 7 and Windows 8? In Windows 7, how do you open up a program? You double click, the program runs. You controlled the app's lifetime. And when would the app close? Yeah, apart from it crashes sometimes randomly, your app generally closes when you close, right? However, here in Windows 8, it's slightly different. In Windows 8, the system manages the app's runtime. Okay? You have the few controls which I'm going to discuss in the next few minutes. The reason I want to discuss this is the data is super important for any software. And if you do not understand this app lifetime, you probably will end up in a data loss, which is the last thing any programmer would want. That's why I probably would be spending the next 10 minutes discussing about how Windows manages the app runtime. Okay, let me tell you how apps, first of all, switch. What are the different states of an app? What app can I pick up? It's a calendar. Okay, the calendar comes on the top, occupies the complete canvas, and now this app is in the running state. Okay, so now when I move away from this app, what happens? Sorry? The app is suspended. So let's go and dig more detail about what is suspended means. When I say the app is suspended, it doesn't occupy any CPU. It does stay in the memory. Okay? It is not going to use the CPU, but it's going to stay in the memory. And in such a state, why do apps process go into such a state? When it comes back, it can resume quickly. So you move it out of memory, it won't be possible for you to quickly resume. So you stay in the memory. However, you will not use any CPU cycles. The system will not schedule you. That's all. Okay, but you stay in the memory. Now let me go ahead, open the task manager. I moved out of calendar. Okay, By the way, just for your information, it will let the app run for 15 seconds. If the app doesn't get the main stage after 15 seconds, it goes into the suspend state. Okay, you have a 15 seconds gap. We did wait for 15 seconds, but I don't see the suspend there. Okay, this is a common mistake that you will also feel. That's why I wanted to explicitly show this. When you install the operating system and run, you will have by default the option hide suspended status enabled. So it doesn't mean that your app is not suspended. Let me show the suspend. Okay, it went into the suspend mode. So right now, if you see, the CPU percentage would be definitely 0, but you will see some memory being occupied. Okay, so I'm constantly telling some good news, so let me tell you some bad news. When an app goes to a terminated state from a suspend state, the operating system will not tell your app that, hey, I'm going into terminate mode. Okay? However, a slightly better news. When I go into a suspend mode, when the app goes into the suspend mode, the operating system will let the app know that, hey, you're going into the suspend mode. And when it resumes, the operating system will tell the app that you're coming back and resuming state. However, when I get terminated, when the app gets terminated, the operating system will not tell that your app is going into the terminated mode. Okay? What are the situations and scenarios in which an app gets terminated? Let me tell you frankly, I use a kind of a 4 GB average machine, and I don't think so any of my apps really got terminated. Because the termination typically happens when you get a memory crunch. When you go to the extreme scenarios like that, the operating system takes a call to terminate your app. But generally, that's not the case. However, we developers always need to be ready for the worst case. So that's why I want to spend a little time discussing about the termination state. Okay? So when you go into the resume, we tell you when you go into the suspend, we tell you. When you come back, we tell you. But when you terminate, we don't tell you. So let me throw this question. So how would you manage the data now? Having given that, you can't go to your client and tell, yeah, Windows, terminated my app, so your data is lost. Obviously, yeah. What did you tell your client? So how are you going to? Any random guesses? Okay, great. And exactly. So that's a great answer. So let me go and discuss about that in a little detail. So when let me just draw a pipeline for you to kind of relate it better. So I always believe that the pictures are worth like 1,000 words. The app runs, and when another app occupies the main screen, then the older app, or the app which was running, which was in the main screen, goes into the suspend state. Okay? When another app comes, the app which was previously running goes into the suspend state. It goes on. So assume there is a memory crunch. The operating system can decide that the app 1 to be terminated. If the app 2 comes back, app n takes, and app 3 comes back, app 3 takes the center stage. It moves back and forth between the running and suspended state. Okay? However, what you can notice here is always an app gets suspended before terminated. Even though I tell you that we will not tell you during the termination, however, I always tell you before that. So it is wise to save the state, save the data onto the app local or app roaming whenever you go into the suspend mode. But however, what's been suggested, and the best case is the better, what I would appreciate you all to do it, save the data periodically. You can wait for termination, suspend, coming back, resuming, everything. But the thing is, it's always better in the metro style scenario to save the data periodically. What are the options for you to save data? So there are two options. One is save data locally, and another is roaming settings. You can, how many of you know the roaming settings? This is, okay, fine. So the coolest, I mean, I would say that in the whole of the Metro style, this is one of the real coolest stuff. Today morning I told you, if you have a live account, you have a space onto the cloud where you can store all your personal settings. Likewise, every live ID has a space in the cloud that your applications can utilize. Okay? So for example, I can, if I write, assume I'm the author of a video app, I can save the seek periodically onto the roaming settings. Like local, roaming is like, I mean, as a developer, all you want to do is, instead of local, write roaming. That's all you would want to do. Basically, if you choose to write into the roaming space, it just, the Vinati does the rest all backend plumbing for you to access the cloud, syncing, inking, everything. Okay? So all you need to choose is just roaming. So what happens is, it writes into the roaming, it immediately syncs it to the cloud. So I can watch the video here, move out of the app. When you store the seek, I can go and pick up another machine which is running my live ID, and I can pick up my video app and it will start playing exactly from the point where I left, in the other machine. Typically, we did a lot of playing around with it because since I liked it. Typically, the sync time is less than 10 seconds. 10 seconds what it takes to sync your data from your local account to the online cloud storage. So that's how typically you maintain, you save, and you protect your client's data. So why do you do all these things? Because we always had a complaint that we are not efficient, memory efficient, process efficient, sleep cycle efficient, and on top of it, Windows 8 is going on Slate. At least what I envision is, in few years down the line, your slates will be like a mobile phone. You don't charge, you don't come to a conference room and search for a charging point to charge your mobile phone. You typically charge overnight and use the mobile phone for the entire day. But certain phones don't have that kind of a backup, and we run around searching for the charging point, but that's a different story. But typically, that's what happens, right? So that's what the laptops, the Ultrabooks, that's how the tablets are going to be. So we want to be energy efficient, power efficient, and period. We know that. And that's why the ARM code, the Vinati, all are written with power consumption in mind. Sleep cycles, the utilization of sleep cycles are very well thought through when writing those code. Cool. This is, as I told you, apps generally crash and you don't get terminated. I mean, you don't get, when you get terminated, you don't get notified. So how can I catch these, catch these events? Like typical Microsoft style, of course, we provide event handlers. All you need to do is just attach your event handler to the respective add listener resuming. You can catch it in a function, simple. So I have a very small demo for the suspend resume. I don't know if it's again interesting demo, but yeah, I have a demo. I think I have it here. By the way, these things this demo is available in the app sample that you can go download and play around with it. Okay, so if I'll try and show more code in this session, but I'm trying to cover one more tiles in the same session, so I'll try not to go too much into the code, but dev.windows.com, get developer downloads, go to the app sample, and that's where you have the entire sample kit to get started. Okay, so this is actually okay, that's in a wrong color actually, but anyway, I hope I can tell you. But elapsed time and the actual tick, it goes on simultaneously because my app was never suspended. So what I'll do is I will go ahead and suspend this. Okay. PLM basics. I ran this app, and basically what happens is when the app gets suspended, one of my thread is going to be stopped. While when I resume, I'll calculate the time of, I kind of take into account what the amount of time I get suspended. So one thread is, one line is just to calculate how much actually is the elapsed time, how much, and another thread goes on and kind of tells me how much time has the app run, which means that when it goes suspended, the thread stops. Okay, because when you suspend, nobody runs. As simple as that. So, did you notice something? I think I've been lying to you a lot. I told you an app gets suspended again, but this time that option is checked. But this app is not somehow going into the suspend mode. Why? No. This it runs. When I call it, it's going to come back. But no, not this code doesn't has it. So yeah, there is an option like that to fire up the background task. But even in that situation, the app will go into the suspend mode. Only the background process will continue. Okay. But great guess, but yeah, it's different. In this case, it's different. Because I didn't run this app from the system, instead I'm running it out of the Visual Studio. So Visual Studio still has the hook to the app which prevents it from going to suspend. Therefore, when you program, Visual Studio, running the Visual Studio is not the best to catch the suspend and resume handlers. Okay, you will never hit it. So the best thing is, what I would recommend is stop the app. Okay. Yes. So I'll come back actually. Let's not go in there, but yeah, we have an option. Okay, I'll share with you in detail later. So the best way to do this demo is this: to run it right out of the desktop. Okay, when I go out. In 15 seconds, you will see this going into the suspend. And when I kind of resume, I calculate the time and display it appropriately. So it goes into the suspend. So one of my thread is stopped. One of my counter is stopped. So I again now go back. It resumes back. Then you can find the difference between the estimated time and the actual tick. Actual tick is somewhere 24 and the elapsed time is 31. Okay? So you can play around with this app. The code is available in public for free. So I'll not go more detail into this slide, but the thing is, when you are in the critical section, we will not suspend you. Because when I suspend you during a critical section, you know what happens? Deadlock. Okay? So it has been taken care of, so don't worry too much about your app going into the critical section. So restoring, I had a few other stuffs which are not so important. So, but anyway, so how do apps launch? So coming back, I would want to move away from the PLM because we spent a decent time on the process lifecycle management, and I hope you got the crux of it. That's all. I mean, I can do a few more business pitches on the PLM, but I don't think so that would be necessary in this audience of all developers and technical folks. So the next most important thing in the Windows 8 is the tiles. When you log into the Windows 8, I mean, you see the whole set of refreshing tiles, and in this case, it is not the dumb icons as I told you in the morning. It is more live information coming out. So let me go into my desktop and show you. So I have my people information right here. When I have mails, it comes here. When I have the store updates, I get it right on the tile. This information is, I mean, I know it's a very small thing, but actually, you know, it refresh. I mean, it's a whole lot refreshing. So my photos come in on rotate every time. And if you are used to Windows Phone, I think it's not a new one for you. How many have Windows Phone? How many know about these live tiles in Windows Phone? Okay, so pretty much the same concept here. You will have an XAML that you want to update to push notifications and stuff. Okay, but what I would say is, what the guideline says is, what I would also advise is, invest in a great tile. It makes a lot of difference, because when you install when people install your app, what people see is actually they click on it to experience it. But even before that fact that the developers go into the experience, even before that, you have the opportunity to catch people's attention. And great deal of information on the tile is always good. I was into the hackathon sometimes back, and a guy came and told me an idea. So I have an app which displays the advertisement here. So I don't think so. It's a great idea. So by the way, we wouldn't encourage that, first of all. So, but have useful and relevant information there. Okay, let's not bother people information, but let's give people relevant information that people would want to see and appreciate. So okay, so this is very important actually. This is not today morning we discussed about it. When in Windows 7 you double click an app, you run an app. In Windows 8 you have multiple entry points. Today I'll now show the code too. You either can launch an app by clicking on a tile, or you can launch an app by going into the search menu. For example, what app? You all know that my store app is not running. Okay, so my one way is I can go into the store app, like click right now and go into the store app, or I can search for cut the rope. It launches. It's launched. This is an entry point. So people can come in through a shared charm. Like this one is through search charm. Likewise, people can come via the shared charms, and also people can click on an icon and come in. So watch out for that. I will go and show you the quick piece of code. So every time you come in, your activation kind is going to tell you that one of the WinRT components is going to clearly hold that information for you. It's going to tell you where you're coming through, whether through search or launch or query. Okay, and when you come through the query, I mean, we also tell you what is the query that people typed into the charms, so that you can just take it and use that to go search for whatever information people are looking at. Okay, and there's one thing that is slightly small, so I don't know if you guys are able to see. I can even know whether the last time you were terminated or not. I don't tell you whether I'm going to terminate. However, we tell you whether the last time where you terminated. So, as I told you, you save the states periodically. When you get terminated, what at least, I mean, I can't save you from termination. However, what I can do is, when people come back, they don't, I mean, I can give an experience as if the user doesn't even know that they have terminated. They've been terminated. So I know this, I can catch if I am terminated. If I am terminated, I can go to the session state, pull the data, and present it back to the user. Because I know where the person was approximately during the suspend or during the last termination. So that's one of the giving a better experience to the user. App activation, let me not go into it. Okay, this is important, splash screens. When you click on an app, this is a splash screen. Okay, when you load, that's a splash screen. Okay, why am I giving so much of importance to splash screen? Because that window comes when your app boots up, right? If you, for example, we had a guy who had around 3,000 SQL queries running when the app was starting up. Okay? So, but what we clearly say is, when people click on the app, they need to be presented with the app's first screen in 15 seconds. Otherwise, we are going to terminate you. You can't run an ever-ending SQL query like a loading, and we can't let you. So we're going to terminate you if your app first screen doesn't launch, because we're going to show the splash screen. We know what the splash screen is. your splash screen needs to move away to the first screen in 15 seconds. Okay? Preferably try not to have too much of heavy stuffs during the app start. Okay? So, for everything in the world there is a workaround. What we did as a workaround was, we had our app's first screen, which exactly resembles a splash screen. I know it's a fraud, but yeah. So the operating system loads the splash screen and then move to the first screen. Actually, for the people, it will be, in fact, we had a beautiful loading bar. So people thought, okay, the app is still loading. So this is a workaround for that 50 seconds problem that we force during the app start. Hold on, we'll come. Okay, so preferably in the future generation, which is in the tablet generation, I don't think so they'll have a lot of patience. So please don't make the users wait, especially in a Metro style app. And because the thing is, in your desktop you have a lot of apps to do. You have your Outlook open, you have your Messenger open, so you have different things to do. But in the tablet world, you will have very few programs running. So let's not make the users wait for long, which is not always good. So for all those, for example, if I have a music app, and if I'm going to terminate him in 15 seconds, how can I write a Metro music app? Because we know that scenario is super important, and therefore we have provided something called background music. We have a special option under background tasks called music, where you can stream music even in the backend. Because that thread is separate, you'll still play, but the app will get suspended, but that's a separate background thread. Okay? There was a guy who was asking me in the morning first session. So if I open an app and I start a download, the background information is downloading. And I already told you guys that the tablet generation is not so patient generation. And how long will they see the download being happening? They might want to switch over to other app. For those, obviously we have provided specifically under the background tasks, background transfer APIs, which will let you do the background downloading of any internet resources, zip file, PNGs, be it anything. Okay, and this is one of the cool concept. It's called RTC apps, the real-time apps. You can have, for example, if you have a scenario like this where you write an app and you need to have a background thread continuously running throughout your app lifetime, you still can do that. Your app can run until it you can call a background transfer API or background call which can run throughout the lifetime of your app until you get terminated. We have an option for that also. But my point is, try not to use it too many, because in my phone, you know what I do when my battery goes lesser? When the battery lifetime comes down, I go to the background tasks, find out what are the applications that uses the background task, and I kill it. Preferably, if that app is not so important, what I would do is I'll go and install the app. Because for me, probably the battery life is super important. So the users are enlightened these days, so guys just watch out, okay? So use background tasks if and only if it is definitely essential. And that to the background task like an RTC which runs throughout the lifetime, just think twice before using it. And this is the bash notifications that you can give to the users even in the apps, even in the lock screen. When people boot up the computer, you can have, I think the maximum number is 7. You can have 7 slots here which you can utilize to display information to the user. Current mails, notification, messages, and this can be programmed, of course, by you. So my question is, your app doesn't run. When I boot up my operating system, how will I get an information? Logical question. My app just didn't, my operating system hasn't started yet. I just loaded it. Where will I get information? Valid question. So no logic run. So anyway, this slide is messed up. Actually, this is what I was telling you. So even the running of the app, the RTC apps, when you run the app, the background task executes. When you suspend the app, the background task executes. even during termination, the background task executes and dies along with the app later. Okay, so watch out. So lock screen apps is what I showed you earlier, and in the PC personalization is exactly where you can, it's actually 7. So you can configure your app to be in the lock screen position, which user need to explicitly configure. And my question still continues. So how will I push? So there is an option. You can push updates from the cloud. So you can configure your app, you can subscribe for a stream, and you can push updates to your stream, and that stream will actually push back notifications to you even your app is not running. So basically, for example, I'm in the e-reader app, say. For example, I want to publish a breaking news onto the tile. A valid scenario for using a tile, live tile. I want to, as a news company, I want to push the breaking news onto the live tile. So in those kind of cases, for example, if the user doesn't run the app or the app is not running, the user hasn't created the background tasks, you obviously can't say that I can't publish a breaking news, because breaking news is a part of your use case. So in those cases, you can configure the cloud to push an update. Even when your app is not running, you get an update. You get a live tile update. Okay. So these are two types of tiles, small and wide. It's always cool to keep tiles rotating. It's all English, which obviously we all went through it as we spoke in the last like 10-15 minutes. One thing I want to show is there are a lot of there are a lot of different styling that you can do on top of the tiles. Picture, words, colors, badges, glyphs. Okay, so utilize these, make your life, because you have very less information to present your data to the user. You want to capture their attention for them to go into your app and click on them, because that's when the money comes to you as an app owner. In those cases, so have a very meaningful and a crisp and an interesting tile, which always will make a difference. So, okay, so let me go into the demo and quickly show you. There is one last thing. This is actually the one I spoke about is the Windows push notification service, which is a free cloud-based service that you can avail from dev.windows.com. Okay, so and again the app samples have that samples on the push notification service. Let me open up the one last thing I want to say is there is something called secondary tiles. There is one scenario, for example, let me pick up a restaurant scenario. You are very interested in what, upma, whatever, okay, upma. So you go to the restaurant, that recipe app or restaurant app, okay, you often go and visit, you want to make upma very often, and you want to access the recipe. Why would you always want to go into the app, search for upma, and click on the upma to read the recipe? You might want to pin it as a secondary tile. Okay? In those kind of cases, we also provide something called secondary tiles, which you can leverage, where you can pin any section, any categories, any items in an app. Okay? And when I call the event, okay, so watch out for that. Just the wrap-up demo would be send badge notification. Then I press the number, for example, okay, let it be number 50. Then it has pushed the batch notification. Let me go and see if my batch is getting displayed. It's all plain XML templates that I'm going to push to the tile manager, and the tile manager does the whole displaying formatting for me. Okay, and we have a lot of templates available online. You can just go ahead and browse through it. It's very simple. The last I want to show is secondary tiles. So basically I have, the app package has, for every app example, sample code, we have samples on C#, JavaScript, as well as the C++, mostly C++. I mean, we have, for everything, we have at least C++ and JavaScript. So even if you are a JavaScript guy or a C# guy, I don't think so you'll be left alone. You have every scenario is covered in the app sample package. So this is the last demo, and for example, pin a tile. This is what the secondary tile demo that I have for you. I pin a tile, and for everything, hello world. Okay, secondary tile is pinned successfully, and typically you can have these things in the app bar. Okay. So I can have a secondary tile like this for any item I have. So when I click on it, you get it? You can identify from which secondary tile you have come. So that's secondary tile, and that's Windows 8 in a kind of a 40,000 feet level for you guys. So I'll open up for questions and hope you like the session and hope it was informative. Thank you.